For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Thabi Madiba, researcher and analyst. Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
How important it is that the KZN High Court has set aside the provincial elections?
It's very important. It's a disaster for the ANC, not just in KZN, but in the country as a whole, because the KZN delegation has been the biggest delegation in previous conferences, and what the implications of this are, how they deal with this, is very, very difficult, because it may well be that everything that they've done since election in 2015 is null and void. That's how I would interpret it. Okay. Because if you were elected illegally, removing Senzo Mfunu, all these things would be illegal. The disciplinary proceedings against Makosi Khoza, they have no authority to bring it. They're not the lawful body. Now, it's not clear whether they are going to appeal or not appeal. And what's very interesting is that the National says that they will make the decision together with the provincial. Whereas you had a meeting yesterday, not with the disbanded provincial executive president, but with the Youth League, the Women's League, all of these, saying who are they to tell us what to do. But I mean, what is interesting is the Youth League's way of being elected was hardly a convincing demonstration of a legitimate structure of the ANC. So you've got a situation where the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma supporters, because they raised this specifically as being what was at stake, who would become president, they are actually in conflict with what Zweli Mkhize and what Zizi Kodwa said about the future, whether there's an appeal or not an appeal. Now, the possibility exists that the people who brought the resolution for the disbandment of the PEC may bring a court application to declare that the illegally elected PEC has to disband. And they may say that it goes back to the previous situation because the conference was found, I think, to have been held prematurely. If that is the case, then it may be that the previous provincial executive would have to supervise future elections. There's a whole lot of things there that creates disarray. Already the province that in 2012 went in as a unity is definitely split in two, and we don't know which is actually the stronger. It is part of a broader problem in the ANC, in that you have disagreements about the election and postponement of conferences in a number of other provinces of the country. And the postponements are not to do with ideological questions. The differences are not to do with ideological questions. It's really to do with people fighting for the spoils. They're fighting to hold positions in KZN, and they're killing people. I think 93 people have been killed from the Cleveland's hostel, according to some of the evidence that's been presented. Since the preparations for the 2016 local government election, there's a huge number of people who've been killed. Candidates, but then elected councillors and sometimes officials of councils have been killed in a number of parts of the country. Richmond, Mzimkhulu and what. So you have this problem where people are fighting for spoils. They're fighting for spoils at the local level, at the provincial level, and with a view to the national conference, they're concerned about who gets elected there. And they were so concerned to ensure the defeat of the Senzo Ngunu group, that they appear to have sent a WhatsApp message while the counting was going on, not announced. And on this WhatsApp, the evidence shows they knew the exact votes that people actually got finally. So there was some penetration into the electoral process. Now, one of the parties that must suffer some reputational damage from this is the Electoral Institute of South Africa, ISA. They actually oversaw the election, and I don't know if they declared that was irregular. I think they said it was okay, because they were one of the parties who were sued. So this thing is leaving a lot of chaos, and its chaos can undermine the very possibility of having the conference in December. They may be forced, let's say they don't have time, they don't complete the appeal, if they bring an appeal against this judgment. If they don't fight the appeal, is there enough time to hold a provincial conference and a national conference? Because you've got to have the provincial conference and then have your accredited delegates properly audited before the time of the December conference. Now we are in September. It's not a lot of time. So it may well be that the ANC at a national level may try to postpone the end of the year conference, or it may not happen. So ANC is in real disarray, and it's not something in the Northern Cape, which is minor. This is in biggest province, a province that has seen a lot of irregularities with the number of branches ballooning over a very short period, number of them found to be irregular, killings, things like that.
So do you place no weight on the attempts being undertaken to revive the ANC of old?
The attempts being made by veterans, stalwarts and others, I don't question the good faith and the intentions of these people. But I think when one wants to remedy the problems of the present, you actually need to be unromantic. For example, they seem to think that everything that happened before Zuma was fine, and that Zuma is really a bad egg. Once you remove that bad egg, then things will be better. Now, I'm not so sure about that. I think we have to look at what was wrong with the ANC before as well. But the most important thing is, if we want to remedy the present, what is it that is the problem? If I'm correct in saying it's not just an individual, what is the character of the politics that needs to be changed? The first thing is the politics of the ANC today is irregular legally, but it's also irregular because it's not a politics about issues and debate. It's a politics without politics. And there was a time when there were a lot of things that would have been debated. Nowadays, it's not as if those issues are not there. The president will make a pronouncement on what women do, clever blacks, what is culturally correct, and all sorts of things related to gender, identity, sexualities, culture, and it's not part of a general debate. And my feeling is that most of the veterans and stalwarts have not really done a proper analysis of what is wrong with the Zuma period. And because if you want to correct something, you've got to identify all its features. And it's not done so, partly because they were all silent when this Zuma rape trial occurred. None of them criticized what happened, or hardly any of them. And it seems to me that some of the militarism, some of the violent masculinities, some of the cultural chauvinism that characterized Zuma have never been interrogated by these people. And if you want to correct the ANC, if you want the ANC to survive, you really need to be brutally frank in your analysis. And I don't think that is being done. I'm not saying these people have not got the interests of the organization at heart, but they need to take more steps if they want to save the organization.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about KZN elective conference results set aside. What are the implications?